All right, guys, start reading the disclosure. You know what? It's 11:30. I have a few minutes, so I just want to do a quick little update on. It is Fed Day. I'm probably not going to be able to do it later, so let's get to it. Um, Good midday afternoon. My name is Scott Ruther, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. It's 11:35 on Fed Day, and today was definitely a little bit of a frustrating day. 24 hours ago, I definitely had a little bit of optimism on a few names that were perking up and patterns setting up and this and that, and then boom, things change. So what you got to do is you have to figure out how to adjust and salvage trades, or sell some strength, or trade around scenarios, or not. Um, so if you look here real quickly, just at S&P, you still have a bull flag here. Okay, you still have 29.90, which will be something to watch. Um, what's it called? Later, after the Fed speaks, or does their statements. Just remember there's a conference also at 2:30. Um, what's expected? I think they're saying 55% chance that they cut. I don't think 45% of the people think that they're not going to cut. So I do think what they do is they do cut a quarter, and then obviously the language, is probably going to say a bit more that they're done for the year, which might be a slight negative, but then they'll take everything into account. What would be different is if they didn't cut. If they didn't cut, then volatility will spike. I would think if they didn't cut, the small caps and the banks would try and bounce and hold things up, but overall market would be very pressured, and gold would probably sell off pretty hard. Those are my thoughts. All in all we know now is this is very tight, and sometimes they'll push the envelope both ways. There's a tight little flag here. If it breaks 29.90 and stays below, there's a lot of room to the downside, so you want to be careful. All in all, as negative as some things feel today, it was still right here. So that's that. The IWM broke this little spot here. It's coming into the 8 day. So think about it. Everyone's like, oh my God, the IWM's so weak. IWM still is not even at the 8 day. It reclaimed all the moving averages down here. So anyway, 155.20. If you were looking for a short, well, this was your day. I tried shorting it on these 2 days. I made peanuts. I did not stick with it. Coming in these 2 days, it did not look like a short to me. It looked like it was holding in there. So I'm not long it either. But we'll see how, if something sets up. This is the overall channel for the IWM. Here's one resistance area that got rejected. This is the higher resistance area. So now this would be like support one, and then this would be if if they cut, which I think they will, it could push below it, but then you have to see what happens here. I don't think it gets to here, but who knows? I'm not going to be fading this. I'm more thinking if they don't cut, will the market hang here, and will they buy the small caps and the banks and make it, better trade? But we'll see. It's come a long way though, so if they do cut, just don't be looking to buy the first dip into here. Um, what's it called? JP Morgan for the banks. Still hanging here. This 117 is key. It's it was the breakout area that's getting retested. Things don't like breakout failure, so it did push through, squeeze some shorts, and then now it's trying to hold here. So watch that 117.20. It'll be a key for the banks. If they don't cut, and the banks and the small caps can't rally, we're going to be down a lot. If they do cut, what was I saying? If they do cut, which I think they will, they'll try and hit these things, and if they can't really go lower, and tech acts well, then it will be probably in the same composure that we've had. Which again, then you go back to the S&P cash. Does it hold 29.90? As far as stocks and whatnot. So yesterday at this time, I was been watching Netflix, trying to anticipate a break above the descending channel, because obviously Netflix has been really good to us over the past few years, a go-to name, a FANG name, and recently it's been out of favor and not trading well whatsoever. It stopped going down. We had this descending channel, um, and now it's not the end of the world. But if you look here, this is the gap down. Couldn't get in this gap. Still a big pro gap. Here's your descending channel. So for me, you know what? I change when the trade changes. If you bought Netflix here and like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give it to 282, which is the recent low, then this whole thing means nothing to you. If you're a technical trader and you're trying to figure out, will it break above this? Will it hold the moving averages? Will we get follow through up to 310? Would it get back above 299.15? All that didn't happen. So my trade, not on the table. And Now we look like we're taking out a prior day's low. This low here was 291.79. So you could have used a few different methods. At first, I was thinking 294 should hold if it still had a chance of being decent today. Didn't hold, so I got out a sum. Actually, what did I do first? First, I bought a little bit in 294, then I sold some into 295 and changes. Wasn't able to salvage much, and then when it broke 294, I'm like, I'm out of it. If you look at the 1 day, you'll see it a little bit differently. So here, okay, if you look at how to salvage a trade when you don't know that this is going to happen, well, I did buy some first into the, the what's it called? I waited. What exactly happened here? Yeah, into this spot. I bought some, okay, traded out of a little bit, and then really when it broke this area, I just said I'm done. So now I'm done, and it's below this. If it were to reclaim this later, okay, this is 293. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. This was like 293 and change. So I bought some a little bit higher. I bought some like 294ish. Came in, was able to sell some in the 294 and changes. I didn't add up here, and then it broke this spot, and I lost money. But now, who knows? Now this is the second spot. This is the low of the day. So this was the reactionary low. So you have a reactionary low, which is what happens in the first 5-15 minutes after the open, which sometimes is emotion. Sometimes you could use it to your advantage. This time I did not. This time I tried to. If it would have went here, held here, and went all the way up, boom, I would have made more money because I would have had 2 to 3 times as many shares as I had overnight. It didn't happen. What else could have given you a clue to get out? So this was like a little inside wedge. So if you did not sell into some strength or try and salvage some, or or you bought it and then I don't know, or you didn't even add. This was one way to get out. And then it came in here, bounced again, made a lower high, and then really this was it. So I'm not in Netflix now. It's going to take a lot to get me back in Netflix. So that's that. And then I had like 6-7 longs on my other long, which has been working really, really well, has been Apple. And now Apple, I tweeted to you guys before when it was 222 and change. I'm the smallest I've been in since, last week. And Apple did a good job. It did kind of what I thought it was going to do. And now it looks to me like you have to be careful. Apple held the 8-day, which was here. Okay. Then I remember buying Versat this day. I bought yesterday. And then pre-market, I thought I was going to get above this pivot, which was 220.82 to fill the gap, and I bought more. And then I sold some at 221.30, 221.80, and then at 222, everyone's like, "Red Dog, it's going to go to new highs." I'm like, I'm reducing here. I'm not adding here. So look, see, so anyway, that was that. And now I have a stop in. Where's it trading now? I think 221.40. So it filled the gap, and now this could turn into a lower high if the market wants to sell down. We'll see. But this trade worked really well. We were in it from here, reduced to as little as I could because we were extended from the 8-day. Strong stocks that are very extended from the 8-day could pull back to them. If they pull back to them and hold, that's usually good. And it's pulled back and held. And now it's kind of in a neutral area where who knows what's going to happen in the Fed. So why have excess risk? So that's that. Amazon I didn't touch today. It had a decent day yesterday as it held 1,800, but I was like, I'm staying away with FedEx numbers and this and that. And if you look at Amazon, below 1825, but above 1800 in this range. I guess if the Fed cuts and they want to buy tech, maybe there's a trade here to go green and push above this to fill this gap. But if not, if it doesn't fill this gap today or tomorrow and it breaks 1800, it's going to tell you that tech is weak, and Amazon, which is usually a leader to the upside, that's been lethargic and out of play, might give clues to the downside. So here's 1800. That's a key there. Unfilled gap. We'll see what happens a little bit later. Facebook was a little better. I am in Facebook. It came out with some news that what was the news? It came out with news that some virtual reality glasses, and then also that they're coming with a desktop box. So I was long it overnight because of this move here, and I added to it, and now where is it now? 188 and a quarter. That's good. So we'll see if it gets a little bit better. The morning high was 188.71. This is probably helping my day. Got back above 188.32. That's what that was, and it has some room all the way up to here if it wants it. We'll see what happens. But it was hanging in there while everything's selling off. It's hanging in there. So that's one of the things that I didn't get stopped out of. Some guys use 185.55. So so Apple was really good. Facebook was tricky but better than other names. Netflix, I had to get stopped out of. And Amazon I didn't touch. So, you have to manage some of the things that are tricky and then, I guess, harness what's working for you. I did not go back to Amazon, and Google actually looks decent. Still flagging, holding here. As traders, all you could ask for is the right thing to happen. Same way, like, or the high probability trade. Like, you play blackjack and you get an 11 versus 6. What do? Think about it. You're playing blackjack, you get an 11, dealer has a 6. You have to double down. That's considered a good hand, right? Lots of 10s out there. And if you don't get a 10, he could even bust. So that's a good hand in blackjack. You have to double down. If you're playing Texas Hold'em and you have, you know, pair of kings or a pair of jacks, you got to go in that hand. And even maybe if you have pair of tens, or sometimes even like a king queen, same suit. Anyway, this has been strong. It's above the moving averages. It just pulled back to the 8-day. What would be awesome here is if you were able to buy verse 223, which it's showing relative strength today, and then at some point it takes out this pivot and then takes out that pivot. Okay, that's what I said here. So anyway, into this it was extended, so maybe you bought back. But if it goes here and then all of a sudden fails, that's like having an 11 versus 6. Dealer gives you a 5, now you have a 16. You're like, okay, I hope he busts, I hope he busts. And then he turns over a 4 and then gets a 10 and then takes your money. But that happens too. But it doesn't happen as often as if you have a strong stock, that's going sideways, creating a flag that can continue. We'll see. I did buy back the puts that I sold on Friday, so that was a great trade. We sold them for 90 or 70, 80 cents, something like that, and I just bought them back for 5 cents. It was very extreme. Into here, I figured, why not? I probably could have let them go worthless, so I wouldn't have to trade any, pay any transaction costs, but whatever. Remember, we sold the 148 halves up here, and now we've sold the puts down there. It's great ways to trade the envelope. Now, I don't sell calls or sell puts on stocks because usually anything can happen, but on the TLT, into a crazy range, I feel I did that. I was fine with it. I did it with the SPYs also on Friday, if you remember, in the SPYs. Into Friday, that's soy, that's not SPY. After coming up 3 days, I felt pretty good that I could sell the 303s, and there was a decent premium there. And now, this is your key here, 299.45 for the SPYs for now. Let's check what's oil doing today. Oil's trying to hang around. I did buy a little USO, same way I told you guys on the big gap up there. I'm like, I would not be buying oil up 15%. Fell 6% yesterday or so, and now today I feel like if you want a little oil on just in case something escalates and we do something with Iran, etc., much better buy area. Doesn't mean he can't fill this gap a little bit more, but a little bit better buy area. If you want to be really tight, you could use 1207 as your stop. Snap. All right, Snap's not doing so bad. Hung in there, made a low here of 1638, so that's your point of reference. After a big move, I did sell a little bit as it went green, and didn't buy any back yet. I was, just trading around some other things. All in all, though, here's your 1690. I don't really think it got to 1704, but whatever. And now it's hanging in there. Looks pretty good. Let it stay above this a little bit more and then continue. I'll stay in that one. ZS was a decent play. I just got rid of it, though. I had the options from here. Looks pretty good, though. Has a lot more of the gap to fill. And that's it. Okay, it's 11:49. I got to go to the gym so I can be back. So far, inside day for the indices. A few challenging situations in tech. Some guys got a little hurt in Roku because they were long it overnight because it closed relatively well yesterday, but it still was a challenge name. Why was it a challenge name? Well, let's get into it. I just posted the chart. So you go to the chart of Roku. What could you have seen here? How could you have navigated? Well, first of all, big gap up was in a great trend above the 8-day moving average. You guys remember when I got short on this day, made a little bit of money, not like on this day. But on this day, this was your day one. Take care. Look for acute short. Maybe complexion change. Day to take notice. It's all the things I call it. Outside day. And that was what? 170.97. Then what gave it some confirmation was, look at this downside follow through. So the second day you got downside follow through. So from 176 down to 139.43, that's what it did. So it was down 30 or 40, what is that? So 35 points or so. Then what did it do? Went sideways. You were able to up $2 short it, down $2 buy it, back and forth while buyers and sellers are trying to figure out, was this enough? Okay, what does this create? What does this look like to you? It looks like a what? A bear flag. So here's, I gave you some of the things to think about, because this happens. This is how a process. This is like what, I talk about an active sequence long. Well, this was a new active sequence to the downside if you like to short names and if you thought this was overvalued. Well, here it was. RDR sell outside day. That was on this day. Okay, number 2, get downside follow through below the 8-day to confirm it, which was right here. Didn't hold this. And then stayed in the bottom third of this 2-day range, or a little bit, almost a third, and then boom, took out 143, took out 139, and now it's trying to hold the 50-day, just like that. Okay, same way this was a nice up move, held the gap, showed power, little topping tail. This time held the 8-day and continued. This one did not hold the 8-day and changed. So on that note, I got to go. I wish you the best of luck. We'll see how we look coming to Fed. And if you're a member of the virtual trade floor, I will be on the radio around 2 o'clock, so I can help walk through what's happening, and you'll see my trades live as we go. And if you got caught in a little Netflix from yesterday to today, it happens. Just don't be stubborn and move on. I'll see you soon.